Every year at the start of spring, the lion invited a small group of animals to join him for a special dinner. The ant had never dined with the king before. She was very nervous and wanted to make a good impression. When the day came, she arrived at exactly on time, not a minute too soon or too late. Some time later, the beetle arrived, then the frog, then the macaque, then the warthog, then the tortoise, then the gorilla, then the hippo, and the elephant. They were all late. When dinner was served, the ant was shocked at how the others behaved. The elephant talked about himself constantly. The hippo never wiped her mouth. The gorilla threw his food at the warthog and tried to eat the flowers. What strange manners, thought the ant. She looked to the lion, who said nothing. After dinner, the table was cleared and a large cake was brought out for dessert. The lion passed it to the elephant. "Please help yourself," he said. The elephant looked at the cake. "I could eat this on one bite," he thought, "but that might seem greedy." With a grand gesture, he cut the cake in half and passed the rest to the hippo. You can't get no half of a cake and then the rest of the piece ain't left for everybody else. That's why they cut it in bits or pieces when it's a whole cake. What is a pig? Thought the hippo. But if he's taking half, I'm taking half of what's left. She made a slice down the middle and handed the remaining 1/4 of the cake to the gorilla. This continued around the table as each animal took half of the remaining cake and passed the rest on until it finally reached the ant. As he struggled to cut the tiny slice into two. It crumbled to pieces on her plate. All the animals turned to her. What's that word? You can't tell me. Typical ant, said the elephant. She thinks only of herself. When the cake came to me, I shared it. I know, said the hippo. We all did. Doesn't she know the king hasn't eaten yet? Scoffed the tortoise. The warthog, who was sitting in her cake, simply shook her head in disgust. That's disgusting. Who sits in their food? The ant was mortified. Surely she would never be invited back. "My king," said the ant, "please forgive me. I am ashamed to say There was nothing left to share, but if you will allow it, would be my honor to bake a special strawberry sponge cake just for you tomorrow. It is my grandmother's recipe, and I think you will enjoy it. The king smiled. Thank you, he said. You are very generous. Who does she think she is? Thought the beetle. He scrambled over to the lion's plate. My king, to show my thanks, I would like to bake you 2 cakes tomorrow, double chocolate fudge. Hey, King, said the frog, I'm going to bake you 4 raspberry layer cakes tomorrow. That's twice as many. I can top that, announced to Macca. I shall bake the cake twice as many carrot cakes. 8 cakes, and he shall have them tomorrow. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I'll bake twice as many mud cakes. Ew, snorted the warthog. How many is 6? How many is that? Actually 16, said the turtle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Really, she said. The werewolf. That sounds like a lot. Maybe for you, said the tortoise, but I will happily bake twice that. 32. 32. They just getting higher and higher and higher. 32 apple walnut cakes will be ready by tomorrow afternoon. The gorilla looked at the tortoise. He didn't like the tortoise, and although the gorilla had never baked anything ever before, he somehow found himself offering twice as many banana cone cakes. 64 as the he gonna need a lot of stuff, a lot of ingredients for that. 64 asked the king. Are you sure? The gorilla nodded, but he didn't look sure. All eyes turned to the hippo. Naturally, he screamed, it will be my honor to bake twice as many spice cakes. Let me see. She took out a piece of paper and began to scribble some numbers. Her hoof was shaking as she put down the pencil. This can't be right, said finally. She said, finally the gorilla grabbed the piece of paper. 128, he announced to the grin. Whoa! Now you can't bake that many cakes in real life. The elephant was crestfallen, but he had to top the hippo. Elephants were twice as good as hippos. With a deep breath, he announced, and I, the great elephant, shall bake twice as many as the hippo. 246 peanut butter pound cakes. 256, corrected the tortoise. Oh, for goodness sake, cursed that elephant. That night, the ant baked her cake for the king. She took her time and measured everything carefully. She spread the frosting as smoothly as she could, then decorated the top with sprinkles. It was a very fine cake. The next morning, she delivered it to the king. Such a fine cake, said the lion. Won't you share it with me?
Okay, what can you remember about the story?
Yes. First, she invited the animals over for a dinner, and they came over, and the names were Gorilla, Micah, the tortoise, the lion, the king, and it was one more person. Oh yeah, the elephant. And they came over for dinner, and the gorilla started throwing stuff at the tortoise because he didn't like the tortoise. So they came over and they started throwing stuff and not using their manners at the table. And then when it was time for dessert, the girl warthog had sat on her cake. And the rest of them, they were just eating and doing stuff to the cake. Eating the cake and doing stuff to the cake.
Okay, what did they do? Someone made something for the king? They made
All
like
of
32, what?
They made 156, 146, I think. Wait.
What were they?
I don't know. I can't remember all those cakes they done made. I guess they had made... The frog had made... No. This little bug right here had made 2. He had made a double chocolate fudge cake. The frog had made a raspberry layer cake. Micah had made 8. She had made carrot cakes. And she had made 16 cakes. She had made a mud cake. And